Alright, so what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of In the Mix, in-depth analysis of sports content. Facts and opinions will also be shared. I'd like to welcome my boy Cameron Flowers and Kaylin King.
What's up?
So let's go ahead and get right to it. Today's show will be focused mainly on basketball because, second round matchups coming. So we'll focus more on basketball today. Let's get right to it.
So before we get into second round matchup, how y'all felt about the entire first round? Who do y'all feel had the better? I'd say the better show in the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference.
I'd say definitely the West. For me, the East has been a little bit boring compared to the West. I think the emergence of Jamal Murray as a star on that Denver Nuggets team, coming back from being down in the series, it's been really, really exciting. And Alexa's laughing because he just can't admit that Jamal Murray is the star in the league. If the man is leading this team and you can't stop the man is a star.
He's a great player. I don't know if I want to put him in star category yet.
Oh, man.
I can say he ain't a great player because I'd be lying to myself. But star player?
Man is
No,
a star.
He ain't a star yet.
He's a star.
He ain't done enough for me to consider him.
Well, what more you want him to do? Drop 50? Done that.
How many all-star teams has he made? How many all-NBA
Bro,
teams has he made?
I'm saying he's emerging as a star. We're not talking about a career. The man is young. He's emerging as a star.
You're right. But guess what? Donovan Mitchell is already a star.
You're right. And I told you that.
And he's a young player, too. I think, how much years Jamal Murray been in the league? I think Donovan Mitchell has less years of experience than Donovan.
He does.
And Donovan Mitchell's a star. I just don't see him on the same level as. I don't see Jamal Murray on the same level.
The ability to carry your team on its.
He ain't carrying the team. He have a Jokic. Hold
on. See, the problem with y'all don't like to look at the full case. Y'all look at the most recent. Yeah, Jokic is the game winner. But let's be real. Who been carrying that team from that deficit? Don't forget they were down. They were down, what, 2-1?
I ain't gonna deny the fact that Jamal Murray had a great series. He did. But do you think that Jamal Murray's the best player on that team?
Yes.
You crazy.
Wow.
Yes. You tripping.
Yes.
Tripping.
Jamal
Murray's the best player on that team?
Yes.
Jamal Murray who had 13 points in a game 7 compared to Jokic who had, I think, a triple-double.
The game before that, Jokic let him down.
No, boy.
He was shooting inconsistent from three. He was getting bullied. He's getting bullied in the paint by Rudy Gobert. So Jamal Murray.
Rudy Gobert is arguably in the category for defensive player of the year every year. What?
He is.
What? Do you expect Rudy Gobert not to do that to everyone?
No, what I'm saying is I expect a star to show up, and for me, Jokic didn't until Game 7.
I mean, that's when the lights are brightest, though.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for Jamal Murray, they wouldn't have made it to that Game 7.
I wouldn't say that.
Jamal Murray, they would not have made it to the Game 7. In the fourth quarter of the past 2 games, Jokic did not touch the ball. Only in the fourth quarter, Jokic touched the ball in Game 7. Game 5 and 6, Jokic was right there looking, standing.
You got to remember, though. You have to remember. Denver has a really complete team, a really balanced team offensively. Go, Kofi. My fault.
No, it's good. I mean, I'm just saying, Jamal Murray's a ball-dominant guard. He what do you want him to do?
Definitely.
At the end of the games, if you put the ball in Jamal Murray's hand 9 times out of 10, it's gonna stick into Jamal Murray's hands.
He's gonna make a play for his team. The first option is going to be him scoring because he's a lethal scorer, and the second option is trying to find a proper pass.
I know on y'all.
Yeah, I know.
Wi-Fi doing rebounds, but on my screen.
Each his own. Game 7, Jokic had, I want to say, a triple-double, double-double, closed out the series when it mattered most.
For me, Denver have a more balanced team, especially when it comes to their offensive capabilities. Like, they have more people who could get themselves a bucket. So Jokic don't have to do as much as Donovan. I mean, Jokic don't have to do that much. So, he probably wasn't showing up all series, but guess what? His team did enough for him to get to Game 7 and just prove to you why he's the best player on that team.
It's not even that. If my teammate's scoring 50, what I gotta
Like,
go
well,
back
wait,
off it?
if he got the hard hand, why I can take the ball out of his hand? Man, dropping 50 points on you. I'm gonna give him the ball, let him drop 60,
That's star
70
capabilities.
points.
That's star capabilities. You're just proving my point.
Jokic has star
So
capability.
PJ Tucker got
I'm
star
not saying
capability.
he doesn't. I'm not saying Jokic isn't a star. I'm saying my argument was from the get-go that Jamal Murray is emerging as a star in this league. Alexio is saying that he isn't. He's a great player.
Oh.
That was
Isn't
my
yet.
entire argument. I'm not arguing the fact that Jokic is a top player in the NBA. I'm saying that to me, if Jamal Murray did not perform like he did, Denver would have not made it past that series.
But you also did say Jamal Murray is the best player on that team.
I do.
I don't
Now, I
agree.
think he is.
I disagree.
Right
Yeah,
now, I think he is.
it's arguable.
I disagree.
Next matchup.
What about? Let's get to the second round. So, the number one team in the East is down 2 games.
I'm not surprised. I mean, let me not say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Miami is playing better than they are. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't won a game at least. But the fact that Miami been outplaying them all series so far, that really didn't come as a surprise to me because I had them getting bounced in the second round regardless. Honestly speaking.
So my thing is right. Now that we can see, Miami's up 2 games and Boston's up 2 games, and the point I'm about to make about this is, like I told Cameron, the real is getting exposed. So Giannis is getting exposed for being one-dimensional. Siakam is getting exposed for being one-dimensional. And, mind you, it's not their fault. They're still quite young players. Giannis won Defensive Player of the Year. He's a great defensive player, and, he probably will he's in the top 2 for winning MVP this year with LeBron, for the things on this season. But when you match him up with a similar team, he tends to struggle when you cut off that drive and spin, or that him putting the ball on the ground, or when you bring the double teams into post-up, when you allow him to shoot. Game 1, he missed, I want to say, maybe 8+ free throws. He airballed 2 free throws. Same thing with Siakam. Early in the game, they try to run an offense through Siakam down the low post. You throw Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. He drew 2-3 fouls early. So now it's up to them to realize this off season. If they do make it through, if they don't, they gotta sit down and really just, hey, I really gotta expand my game. I gotta change my game. I gotta find different ways to make my bread and butter. The drive and the Euro steps and going through people and using my length and my athleticism isn't working anymore because I'm playing against similar guys who can jump as high as me, who can run as fast as me. I gotta get some moves. I gotta get a jumper. I gotta play off the ball more. I gotta, you know what I mean? Find different ways to affect the game, because you notice when Giannis isn't playing good, he does play defense, but he's just there on the offensive end. You know what I mean? He's not really a man to set a lot of off-ball picks, not really a man to create offense for other players.
Yeah.
So how do y'all feel about that?
And I think we're saying the same thing, like you said, with Giannis. When it comes to playoff basketball, coaches have time to sit down, analyze matchups, watch film, just devise a game plan for each game. Like, you have time to strategize. And like we saw prior to, Giannis in the playoffs is less efficient than Giannis in the regular season. Miami is doing an excellent job of flooding the lane, not allowing Giannis to get easy buckets at the rim. He's forcing players like Kyle Korver, Chris Middleton, DiVincenzo, Wesley Matthews, and especially Brook Lopez, because Brook Lopez has only been basically the only one showing up and on a consistent basis. You're forcing them to stretch the floor and shoot the 3 and trying to find space on the court, because Miami, like we know, are a great defensive team. They are gritty. They're dogs. They're going to get theirs. on the offensive end and on the defensive end. So I think Milwaukee's facing a matchup. So Budenholzer is going to have to sit down and say, how am I going to get the best out of Giannis? How am I going to create space on the floor? And the only way the Bucks are going to make it out this series is if, one, Chris Middleton performs at a high level, which he can. It's just that will he show up? And two, is the pieces around him, around Giannis, i.e. the Wesley Matthews, the Kyle Korver, the Covington, the DiVincenzo's, are they going to perform? George Hill has been trying to get himself going, but from behind the three-point line, he isn't hitting it like that. You got to have to find some way to find space. Or is Giannis going to hit the three from at a consistent level, which I don't think he's at that point yet. He hits about 3, maybe 2 a game, but is he going to give you 5 threes, 6 threes? You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I say more 1 to 2.
Yeah, but he had 2 the past 2 games.
He ain't giving you no
Even
5,
getting
6
his. But my thing is, like, I think the matchups is perfect. Like, even when Miami can't flood the lane, Bam has done an excellent job on Giannis. I'm talking about, like, in ISO situations, maybe at the elbow in the post, like Bam is sitting on him and not letting him get anything easy. So I think Eric Spoelstra's done a great job. In terms of the Toronto series, for me,
let me hear it.
For me, I am a Nick Nurse fan, and I think Nick Nurse knows it himself. But Siakam has, if Siakam isn't shooting the 3 at a high level, then he's not going to get anything out of the series. Because now he's being against players like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who have length and the speed. Because Siakam is an undersized big man that uses his athleticism and his speed to get past regular big men. But now that Tatum is playing the 3, because Boston plays that positionless basketball, you got Tatum guarding Siakam. It's gonna be hard for him to get to the rim aggressively and, like Kofi said, using his body and strength and length to get past. And then you got to underrated, well, not underrated because I'm still not a fan of him, but like Kofi said a lot, he has developed. You got a Tice that ain't gonna let you get anything easy at the rim. You might dunk Tice on one play, but the next play, Tice coming right back at you. So like, I feel like Boston, but I need to see more from Kyle Lowry. I need to see more, especially from Fred VanVleet. I think Fred VanVleet has been very kind of mediocre. I feel like maybe the stage is, this Boston team is getting too much for him. So I'm going to need to see it. Marcus Smart, I think we have to talk about. Marcus Smart has been
$5,000.
Marcus Smart has been an Xbox for this Boston team. So it's going to be interesting to see if Toronto can make adjustments. Maybe, I don't know, keep running the offense through Ibaka, but is that really going to work? He's been playing spectacular, don't get me wrong, but you need the likes of Kyle Lowry. Maybe use pick and roll more with Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka. I don't know, but you got to think of something.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I feel like you were saying, Siakam is an undersized big man. And I feel that's where, the problem lies, I guess. His span in the G League, they had him playing big man, so he isn't really ball handled savvy, very elusive, because usually, if he gets the ball at the top of the key on the wing, it's an in and out dribble, then drive, or like a crossover, then drive, or a crossover, then spin. He isn't really, good with the basketball in his hands, pull-ups, small nicks in his game that he doesn't really have yet, like a Jason Tatum, you know what I mean? So I see it being really difficult for him. Yeah, he has a spot-up three-pointer, but he's very passive on taking those shots right now, because I guess that isn't his game. He only does it if he needs to. And I kind of disagree. I feel like, being the veteran presence, and I guess the leader of that Toronto team, I feel like in the first 2 games I've seen, Kyle Lowry, see where the issue is. So you've seen him trying to do, like, be quite excessive. Like, a lot of people see him, and, I could attest to that, being quite excessive on Tatum. So forcing players like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Kemba Walker's coming back into his own. Daniel Tice had a big first game. So, you can see from the game 2, he's really trying to get into Tatum, try to knock Tatum off, try to get into his head more so. So I feel like Kyle Lowry sees, where the issue lies, and he's burning himself out a lot, trying to, give it all on both ends of the court. I do want to see more from Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell as well. Terrence, they've been trying to throw Terrence Davis at Tatum, which really didn't work that much in game 2. Marc Gasol is really trying to be aggressive too. I saw that in game 1. But, everything for Boston is just clicking right now. They have a lot of players who can get hot, who can, contribute. Like their rookie center, they call him the Time Lord. I want to say, his name is on the tip of my tongue.
Williams.
Huh?
Williams,
yes, Williams. He had an amazing second game, and I commend Brad Stevens for seeing, even though Tice has been doing phenomenal this season, to throw Williams in there. He's a more athletic, big, protects the rim a lot more. Is going to rebound, catch oops, roll to the rim a lot quicker. We saw him hit a mid-range last game. And then to go on to this Milwaukee series, like I said before, I feel like, Miami being number 5 is just an illusion to me. I feel like Miami is a top 3 team in the East, being that, Eric Spoelstra has a lot of underrated lethal weapons. You got Dragic, who's coming back into his own. Jimmy Butler just went for 30-plus last game. Arguably one of the Rookie of the Year candidates, Tyler Hero, is showing up. Jay Crowder is playing amazing on both ends of the court. Kelly Olynyk is doing great during his spurs on the court. Duncan Robertson is, he's shooting the ball. I just feel like it's, if Jimmy doesn't go off one game, then you got to go to Dragic. If Dragic isn't, going off one game, it's going to be Bam. Bam just had a triple-double. It's too much for Milwaukee. Milwaukee solely focuses on, Giannis and Middleton. And Middleton is, arguably could be said to be inconsistent. So let's say, you lock down Giannis and Middleton isn't hitting, there lies a problem. But with Miami, if you shut down Jimmy only had 13 points last game. Dragic is going to go off. Tyler Hero is going to have a big game. Jay Crowder is going to do his part. Bam is always going to, do all the dirty work down low. So it's hard, Milwaukee is arguably one of the best defensive teams in the league, but, it's hard to guard a team when all five of the players are lethal threats in my eyes.
Definitely. Let's go to the next matchup. So Denver Clippers.
Clippers in 6. Already called it.
Man, I'm hurt to say it, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say this is gonna be our next Game 7.
It might. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I ain't gonna lie.
And I'm saying that on a limb just because, I still have faith in Paul George. I feel
For me,
like
that's what it is. Paul George really is the determining factor in this
I
series.
still have faith in Paul George, and I have a lot of faith in this Denver team just because, they were down, I want to say, 2-1 or 2-0, and they come back to beat
They was down 3-1.
An offensively gifted Utah Jazz team with Jamal Murray and Jokic and, Michael Porter Jr., who was here and there, and, players like Tony Craig and, Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, like, so they have a lot of the heart, the will, the greatness, the hustle. They just need to lock in on defense, really, because I feel like, they're not the best defensive team, but,
They're not. They're
they can do what they need to get things done. So I feel like, if Jamal Murray and Jokic, play how they played, I feel, it could be a competitive series. I feel like, just like I was saying before, this Clippers team is, it's loaded. Got Kawhi. Kawhi is like right now showing last 5 games, 30-plus points a game. PG, PG is just PG, but he isn't showing us playoff P. Zubac is playing amazing basketball, so that's going to be a next matchup for Jokic. You know, not as rough and tough as Rudy Gobert, but you know
I mean, you got to think they also got Trez to throw at them too.
Yeah, Trez is still trying to come back. I could
size though.
What'd you say?
No,
Trez is undersized though.
But he plays a lot more aggressive for his size, you know. So he's gonna rough up. He's gonna try to rough up. I'm not gonna say he's gonna do what he needs to do against Jokic. Reggie Jackson coming off the bench doing his part. Shamit is really coming into he got put into the starting lineup recently. He's doing what he needs to do. He's having big games here and there, doing all the small stuff. And then you got Jermichael Green. He comes in, and then Morris is actually playing really great basketball. Even though he's having some temper issues. Hopefully
it really ain't temper issues for me. I think it was a smart tactic just to use him to get in Luka's head, and it worked for their benefit. To their benefit, it worked. I feel like that ain't gonna be something he do every series though, unless he has to guide somebody like Luka. That ain't gonna be something you call upon him to do every series.
So you think Doc Rivers say, "Hey, go out there and whack this man upside the head"?
Hey, I think he gone out. He tell him go out there and pasteurize this way, like get in his head. Like we can't have this dude dropping 40+ points on us with a triple double every night.
No, I can understand him saying that, but what he did that night wasn't really pasteurizing, in my opinion. It wasn't. It was more like an attack. Yeah, mind you, Luka, he's out there, doing what he needs to do, throwing elbows. Because I watched the play, he was throwing elbows at Morris. Yeah. He was trying to make his space, but that's just Luka. That's a part of his game. But for Trez to just I'm tired of this, just to whack him upside the head. It's like, you know what I mean? To wrap him up is one thing, but just to like fully come down, not aim for the ball, just whack him.
Morris just had to show him like, "Wait, I know Cookie, you don't gonna be doing that to me." Ain't that kind of party, dog.
I think the series could go two ways though. It can go really good in terms of the Clippers winning in 5, or it can go to a game 7. For me, the Clippers have a lot of weapons to throw at Jamal Murray in terms of defensive matchups. You have Reggie Jackson, Pat Bev is apparently coming back. You got Lou Williams. You got Shaman, who's a decent perimeter defender. So you have a lot of these bodies that you could throw at Jamal Murray to cool him down. Then, like you were saying, the Zubac Jokic matchup is going to be interesting. And then in 2, the bench of the Clippers is very, very strong. You have a lot. You got a lot of rotate. You have a lot of rotation.
Yeah, they got plenty depth.
Like it is crazy. So it can go really, really good if Paul, like you say, if Paul George show up, if Kawhi continues to perform, if
Kawhi can play. We can count Kawhi as a certainty. It's just a matter of whether Paul George decides to play every game of the series. Yeah. If Paul George decides to play every game of the series, like we know he can play, this series going 5 or 6.
So what about this? Houston won last night. Congrats to Houston. It was a dog fight.
They deserve that, dog.
Yeah, command.
Y'all ain't deserve that, bro. Y'all didn't deserve that.
So
fumble the bye.
That series is gonna be against a rested Lakers team.
Quick, fast, hurry. Call Owen.
That's cap. This series will probably go to 7. At least I hope.
No.
At least I hope.
It's
the
not
Rockets. We have an excellent record against the Los Angeles Lakers in the regular.
Listen.
Regular season. So here's what I expect to be the case. Whenever LeBron gives the ball to AD in the low post area at the elbow or wherever it's a lob at the rim, expect all 5 of the Houston Rockets to smother Anthony Davis in the lane.
And Anthony Davis will just shoot 20 free throws a game.
And that's relax yourself. Relax. Here's what's gonna happen. The onus of this series is gonna be on the likes of Caldwell Pope, Danny Green, and other spot-up shooters within the Lakers.
No,
and they're not consistent enough to win to sweep the Houston Rockets. It's not gonna happen.
Y'all
Because
are gonna have to foul Anthony Davis just like the Trailblazers.
We're not gonna have to
He's
foul Anthony
gonna
Davis.
shoot
No, we're
20 free
not.
throws a game.
PJ Tucker will do an excellent job of
No!
guarding Anthony Davis with the help of
No!
Robert Covington, with the help of Daniel House, with the help of Russell Westbrook. Like I said,
So you trying to tell me with Whiteside and Nurkic, they still Anthony Davis was shooting 20 free throws a game, and PJ Tucker's supposed to stop him from shooting 20 free throws a game?
I'm not saying Anthony Davis is not going to get to the line. It's bound to happen. What I'm saying is this: whenever we played the Lakers, that's what happened. Whenever Anthony Davis got the ball in the paint, all 5 of the Houston Rockets smothered. That leaves it to Anthony Davis to either take a contested shot or layup, or find a perimeter shooter, i.e. your Donnie Greens, your Caldwell Popes. They're not consistent enough right now to perform at a high level where they're going to sweep the Houston Rockets. So that's how
y'all just going to 7 games with OKC with only Chris Paul.
That's my point. I'm not saying the series is not going to be tough. I'm not saying we're going to blow out the Los Angeles Lakers.
Y'all ain't going to win.
Okay. Be realistic. Be realistic. What I'm saying
you being realistic, you think y'all gonna really win this series?
I'm not saying we're gonna win this series. That'll be bias of me to say. What I'm saying is I hope it goes to 7 games. It's probably gonna go to 5 or 6, but I have faith in my team that it can go to 7 games if this plan works. If Caldwell Pope and Donnie Green aren't consistent, if Covington is shooting the ball consistently like he did in these past 2 games, if Daniel House is gonna get it, if Eric Gordon continues to perform, if Harden actually puts on his big boy pants, and if Russell Westbrook would stop missing open layups, we'd be fine. And stop turning the ball over, we'd be fine.
Listen. He played what? How many games he played last series?
I don't want to hear it. Stop making excuses.
He just came off of an injury. He just came off of a leg injury at that. You know his motor is all legs. He is all legs and athleticism. Like, what do you expect from him? Just coming off of an injury.
From your favorite player. Just say he's my favorite player and he's never in the wrong. Just say that. Just say it.
I admit when he's in the wrong. I always admit when he's in the wrong. That's what you're failing to realize. I'm not saying he played decent. He played terrible to his standards.
All right. Okay.
He did. I'll admit that. But at the same time, you have to remember he's coming off of an injury.
I understand that.
And he was coming off of an injury into a series where the team he was playing against was grabbing momentum. And they started to get hot. So it ain't like he was playing some scrub team where his team was just blowing them out every night.
But here's a start for you, though. And here's a start that's going to shock both of y'all. The Houston Rockets, from the start of the bubble, have been playing the best defense in the bubble.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. But I mean, like, it's, I guess, I mean, I don't, I can,
You know why? Because we some dogs.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, the bubble is really a different environment for all of these players. I feel like a lot of teams that were invited to bubble have been playing their best basketball, and a lot of these players have been emerging since the bubble started. You got Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell going for 50 back-to-back nights. Devin Booker carried his team to 8-0 closeout. So I commend Houston Rockets and Mike D'Antoni on his philosophy. I'm happy that people are finally starting to see it. And actually make it make sense, find some logic to it. Everybody has a method to their madness. So I'm not too shocked by the start. Just because you have 7-footers, doesn't mean that you are made to play defense. It's all about their willingness, their hustle, their grit to do what needs to be done on that side of the court. But before we conclude, how do you all feel? The second round for the West hasn't started yet, and the East is already about 3 games. And how do you feel rest is going to play a factor in the finals?
It's gonna be important, especially if it's a team like Miami, who's they play such high energy, ready defense. Like if they have time to rest and recuperate and stuff, it's gonna be excellent. Especially if the Lakers rely on LeBron and AD. AD's are gonna be getting bruised inside the paint and stuff, especially if they end up going against the Clippers. So I feel as though whoever comes out of the West, and the same thing goes for vice versa. Kawhi and Paul George has been load management the entire season, so it's gonna be rough. So I think East will have the advantage in terms of rest. Now that you say that, and it's gonna be, I feel like it's gonna play an important part for especially Game 1. And I
Yeah.
think so it's gonna set the tone for the series actually.
Because if you look at it, they play every other day. They're already
Yep.
basically three games in. The West hasn't started yet, so if they keep this track up, I'd say they'd be about maybe like 4 or 5 days before 4 or 5 days out before the West even finishes. If if they continue to sweep or do 5 game series compared to the West. But I agree. Especially playing every other day, because in a regular series, you play 2 games at home, you fly, 2 games, fly. So, this is really up to the coaches and the personnel to, see what needs to be done, especially when you play on teams with largely dependent on, two or three players on one player. But that's it for today. I'm glad, everybody who tuned in today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to keep tuning in for more sports content.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. If y'all have anything y'all want to talk about or want us to talk about, just leave, a comment.
Hit us up on the Instagram
IG
page.
In the Mix 242, follow the IG page. Let us know what we could do better. Let us know what you want to see here or do. Let us know some topics. But yeah, catch y'all next episode.
Yep. Be breezy.